Hi, I'm Baz, and welcome back to 20 Minute Gamer, the channel where I test whether a game can hook you in just 20 minutes. As a busy dad and filmmaker, I don't have hours to burn hoping a game gets good, so I judge games by the opening moments to help others like me figure out if they're worth the time. Today I'm playing Clock Tower, which was originally released in 1996 on the PlayStation 1 and developed by Human Entertainment. I have no background with this game actually, in fact I'd not even heard of it until this week while researching classic PlayStation horror games. A 3D point-and-click game with a creepy vibe sounded very intriguing, especially after all the survival horror titles I've been reviewing lately. So this felt like a great time to try something completely fresh. Story.
But remember one thing, Helen.
I gathered that there's a killer known as the Scissor Man, and my character appears to be either an investigator or a therapist with one very brief voiced cutscene. The pace is quite slow. About halfway through, the perspective randomly switched to another character named Helen, and to be honest, I wasn't totally sure who she was or why I was now controlling her. While the murder mystery itself is intriguing, not much really happens in the first 20 minutes. There's definitely some intrigue, but not enough action or storytelling to feel properly hooked. Score, 5 out of 10. Controls. So this is where things get rough. It plays like a classic point-and-click adventure, which usually works best with a mouse. Using a controller here felt very clunky. Items aren't highlighted, so I spent too long trying to figure out what I could and couldn't interact with. Dialogue skips painfully slow, and there really is no way to speed it up no matter how hard I tried. Navigation was simple enough, but the lack of modern conveniences made everything feel like a bit of a slog. I imagine even in 1996 this wouldn't have felt smooth, especially compared to the PC point-and-click greats like Monkey Island. Score, 3 out of 10. Atmosphere. It's definitely not as creepy or as immersive as something like Resident Evil, but I did kind of enjoy the slightly surreal mood. It gave off real Twin Peaks sort of vibes, more strange and mysterious than outright terrifying. While the visuals and audio don't do much to ramp up tension, there's a sense of curiosity throughout the world. I could see this going in interesting directions if I stuck with it, and I liked that it felt different than the more action-driven horror games. Still, there's nothing really in the first 20 minutes that unsettled or scared me. Score, 6 out of 10. Music and sound. There wasn't much music here. When it did kick in, it kind of reminded me of a 90s TV thriller. And there's a charm to that.
Professor Bart.
The ambient sounds are subtle but present. I noticed things like a drawn-on photocopy that actually started to annoy me more than anything else. Dialogue was mostly text-based, with only one short-voiced cutscene.
She's not ready to remember the murders yet.
Helen, the Clock Tower murders are fascinating research material for me.
Sound effects were pretty bare bones overall, and the lack of voice acting made it hard to stay engaged. It would have benefited from that a bit more, but potentially it was to do with the space on the CD of the original game. I imagine if this whole thing was voiced, it might have been a decent file size, so it's kind of understandable. Score, 5 out of 10. Graphics and style. The visuals are early PlayStation through and through. You've got blocky characters, simple textures, stiff animations, but there is a strange charm to it. Seeing a point-and-click game rendered in 3D from that era was oddly refreshing. The cutscenes, especially the open and wavy red strange introduction, were surprisingly effective at setting a tone. Location artwork between scenes was also a nice touch. While the detail is minimal, the style is consistent and stands out from the 2D adventures I'm used to. Score, 6 out of 10. Gameplay. So, my 20 minutes mostly consisted of clicking on things in a room and trying to figure out what the game would let me interact with. I interviewed someone, wandered around, talked to a few more people, and eventually switched to controlling a new character called Helen. Unfortunately, the pace didn't really pick up. I spent a few minutes navigating a map trying to figure out where I was supposed to go. One destination Helen just refused to visit, saying she needs some fresh air, which I thought was quite funny, and another had her walk in and immediately leave again. It did all feel a little bit aimless. If this was meant to hook you in, it kind of missed. Score, 3 out of 10. Final verdict. So, is this worth 20 minutes? I was really excited to try something new, and Clock Tower certainly has an intriguing premise. But after 20 minutes, I was mostly confused and, to be fair, a little bit frustrated. The pace is just really slow, the gameplay is clunky, and there wasn't enough suspense or payoff to make me want to keep playing. That said, I do see a glimmer of potential. If you're patient and really into mystery-driven, text-heavy experiences, you might enjoy this. But if you're looking for immediate engagement, I can't really recommend it. But I would like to caveat that 10-year-old me back in 1996 would probably have given this a lot more than 20 minutes. So that's something to consider. Final score, 5 out of 10. Well, did you play Clock Tower back in the day? Does it get better after the opening? Let me know in the comments below, I'm genuinely curious. And if you enjoyed this review, a like and subscribe would really help the channel grow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on 20 Minute Gamer.